Hi everyone, welcome back to the Ask Rebecca radio show. Thank you for joining me. March's theme is 5 ways to love yourself. For the first week I discussed the importance of loving yourself along with the first way to start, which was forgiving yourself. Last week I discussed the second step to loving yourself through self-awareness. If you missed any of the episodes, you can watch them on my website, AskRebecca.guru, under the blog page, or my YouTube and Facebook pages as well. And A1R has them on their Facebook and Moonstruck TV as well. So check them out. Tonight, I'll be discussing self-care, the third way to love yourself. Personally, self-care is the one that I struggle with the most, and I'm sure many of you struggle with it as well. I will give you an example from my own life to share with you what self-neglect looks like so you can get a better understanding of what self-care actually is all about. So I grew up with the belief that hard work pays off, which I'm sure many of you did as well. And the bigger the sacrifices you make, the greater the rewards. Well, now I realize I take those beliefs to the extreme more often than not. It's been a really hard habit for me to break, which kind of even sounds ridiculous saying that, you know, having the belief of work harder pays off is something that I shouldn't believe to the extreme, but it does have a negative effect when you take it to heart too much. So, but I can admit this to myself. I can admit this belief has me feeling overwhelmed most weeks. I'm currently working part-time hours as an HR director, still doing my full-time workload. I'm currently working full-time hours in my own business, doing intuitive coaching sessions, creating a webinar series, arranging live in-person events, prepping for this show each week, and a ton of other things in order to expand my business and really get myself out there. Now, that's just my workload and doesn't include family obligations, social events, paying bills, grocery shopping, vet appointments, or any of the endless chores that seem to come along with running a household. So, again, I'm sure you can relate to daily stresses like these in your life as well. So here's where I start to self-neglect because I'm pushing myself to the point of exhaustion in order to reap the rewards of all my hard work. I end up, I just start skipping meals because I think if I work through it, I'm in the middle of something, I can eat later, I'm just going to go for it. But then I never end up eating. So I'm, notorious for skipping meals. I stop exercising. I sleep less. I stopped going to the chiropractor, then my back's hurting all the time. I stopped socializing, and I stopped doing things that actually make me feel healthier and happier in order to find more time in the day. In the end, it's counterproductive in what I'm actually trying to accomplish. I lose focus, I'm fatigued, and not working efficiently. So it's very easy to neglect ourselves when we're busy and overwhelmed. Even a small break seems as if it's a luxury. So if you're taking that small break and it feels like a luxury, so then you end up beating yourself up for being a slacker. Or I do anyway. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely do. In reality, self-care is extremely important and vital to your life. Self-care keeps you from burnout. When I get burned out, I shut down. I end up having no motivation, no desire, no drive. I do nothing. And it takes me a lot longer to recover from burnout than it would if I actually just took a little break and gave myself an hour just to chill out. But instead, I push myself and then I burn out. And then while I'm burned out, not feeling like doing anything, I then start beating myself up again for being a slacker. So it's a vicious cycle that we can get caught up in. It definitely, I know for me, it's challenging. It's definitely a challenging habit for me to break. So I'm sure some of you are doing the same thing in your lives. It's very easily overlooked because we're just not used to actually taking care of ourselves. We're busy taking care of everything else and everyone else. So self-care keeps your stress levels healthy. Some stress can serve a higher purpose. Too much stress has you feeling lethargic, bloated, annoyed, and just plain miserable. Self-care helps you refocus. When you're pushing yourself to resolve an issue or handle some task, you can easily become stuck. Taking a step back from the situation can bring clarity when you return to the task at hand. Some self-care techniques: make time to eat, take breaks, exercise, see the doctor, hang out with friends and family, feel your emotions. Feeling your emotions is very, very important because, if you're emotionally fatigued, it's added on top of your stress and everything else, and it then can really lead to illnesses showing up in your life. So just feel your emotions and ask for help when you need it. It's okay. Another easy task, which I've had to do, and this is kind of how I was able to get myself into check, is I started actually scheduling my time off. So I started scheduling breaks. I started scheduling, my appointments, making sure that I was staying on top of things. And it sounds a little silly, but in the end, if you put it on your calendar and your to-do list and it pops up and you see it, I think it just gets us in the habit of feeling okay. Well, hey, I got it scheduled. So I allotted enough time for me to take a little break, and then you do it, and then you feel better, and now you're not stressing yourself out and you're not becoming overwhelmed in day-to-day life. So it's very, very easy to neglect ourselves. And again, I know for me, it's something that I've struggled with, especially since the beginning of the year. My life has been extremely busy, and I've just stopped doing everything that I really love. And even when I am going to any kind of social event or social gathering with people that I love and friends that I miss, and I end up feeling like it's a chore versus actually something enjoyable, because I'm like, oh man, now this is another thing on my to-do list. And the sad thing is we should never feel like that when we're hanging out with friends and family and doing things that actually bring us joy and happiness. It's kind of sad. So thankfully I have a really, really great support system. I have great friends that always support me. They call me on my crap. So it's a good thing. And I hope you have the same in your life. And I hope that you can take a look at your week, maybe going forward, and kind of taking notes about where it is that you're self-neglecting and where you're not doing things to bring you peace of mind, or where maybe you've been neglecting going to the doctor. I know, tons of people do that. You've got an ache or a pain, and then all of a sudden you just shove it down, like you don't have time to deal with it, and you don't worry about the doctor, and then the next thing you know, it escalates into something more serious. So, these are very important things. You're not going to be help to yourself or anyone else if you are neglecting yourself. Now, I worked on one of my shortcomings, which is always working on my moment of Zen and being able to get this into the show. Before I take a caller, I would like to go ahead and do the moment of Zen. I would like to open up our chakras to connect with our higher selves, to help us be aware of when we do need some self-care. So if you close your eyes, open your palms, tell yourself you're open to receive, then take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth, and then I'll just send you some loving energy. All right, if you want to bring your awareness back, and I'm going to make a promise to myself to get better at nurturing and making sure that I self-care, and I hope that you make a very similar pact with yourself so that you are taking care of you and you can have a better life because of it. Tonight I'm taking a caller. I'm looking for Kim in Jackson, Michigan. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I hope you have some specific questions for me. I did make a couple of little notes that I feel like you might be dealing with. I do feel like maybe you're holding on to things, people, money, or situations longer than what's best for your own well-being and your own well-being and peace of mind. Some of the advice was that you can't control what others choose to do and for you to try to relax. I feel like maybe you're worried about, so the overall theme feels like you may be concerned about, you may have some fears, and I feel like you've been dealing with some fears, but it does feel like you're in a space where you're about to let go of these fears and move into finally releasing that. So you may be worried about the security of your job and or a relationship. I feel as if some of fears when it comes to love, but that you're, again, about to like let go of all of that. And if you haven't already opened yourself up in a way that will give your relationship a fighting chance, or if you're single, it will allow you to put yourself out there and mingle without having the fear of rejection. Overall, it just feels like you're going through emotional kind of release. So if you want to get into your questions.
One of them would be, am I going to get the third call from the last two, from the place I've had the last two interviews with?
Let's see. So you've had two, but you haven't had the in-person interview yet, or you have?
I have. Both of them were in person.
Wow, and there's a third one?
Yes.
I do feel like it's going to work out for you, but you have to choose to let go of the fear, because I think you're over worrying about it. To me it feels like I feel like you keep rehashing the interview in your head and wondering like, oh man, did I say the wrong thing, or did I react in the wrong way, or I don't know. It just feels like, you keep thinking about it over and over again. But I do feel like it'll work out in the best interest of yourself. Can I ask you what type of work it is?
Cashier at our local Home Depot.
Okay, so it's kind of an odd thing where I feel like you're going to get the job, but I don't know if it's cashier. Are there any other positions open within Home Depot?
There are like greeter and a few other things, yes.
So to me, it feels like you will get a job with Home Depot, but I'm not certain that you'll actually be doing cashier work right away. So it almost feels like you would get into the store and maybe they have you in, like, almost feel like maybe it's through the training process or something where you're doing like multiple, like they want you to understand different parts of Home Depot. I'm not sure if they actually do that, but it kind of feels like, you may start off doing one thing before you end up being the cashier.
Okay, yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, to me it feels good. Now I feel like, when did you have the last interview with them? Because I feel like you're not going to hear from them for maybe another 2 weeks.
It was the 8th.
Okay, so we're in the 16th now. So it may be actually, next week sometime or the early beginning of the following week where I feel like you will hear from them.
Okay.
Yeah, so I kind of think they have several people that they're interviewing, and to me, it just kind of feels like, they're taking their time. I know you're in a hurry, but they definitely don't seem like they're in a hurry.
Yeah.
So what about, any other questions you have for me, or, what else that I was picking up on about, some fears that you might be dealing with?
Actually, I was wondering, will Ryan and I get married this year?
I don't feel like you guys will necessarily be getting married this year.
Okay.
I'm sorry to share that with you. I'm sure it's not what you wanted to hear, but
Yeah.
it does not feel like a bad thing, okay? To me it feels like there's a couple of things that you guys have to work through that will strengthen your relationship and maybe motivate. Has he asked you yet?
Yes.
He has asked you.
It will be 12 years in June.
Stop it.
Yes.
You've been engaged for 12 years?
And that's not the only thing. We've been together it's 22 this year together.
Oh my God. Put him on the phone. I just want to yell at him.
He's not here. I'm at my house and he's in the city, unfortunately, or I would.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just feel like he's going to come up with another reason why, like it just always feels like it's not the right time. To me, it feels like it's connected to money. He's worried about, having the money to spend. Because I feel like you want a wedding, right? Like you want to do the whole shebang. You want to wear the nice dress and invite all your family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
And to me,
Yeah.
I feel like he keeps finding like excuses as to why he doesn't, why it's not a good time. The timing is not now, is what I feel like he kind of says. Or it's been one excuse after another. So I do feel like he's going to push it off another year.
Okay.
And here's the other thing. Like, are you guys not living together since you said he's in the city and you're...
In the country, yes.
Huh.
It is his dad that is preventing us from living together.
Okay, so let me see if I can connect with. Is he caretaking? He's taking care of his dad. His dad's sick. What's his dad's name?
Ken or Kenneth, and no, his dad's fine. It's just he's kind of protective.
I gotta tell you, it kind of feels like a lame excuse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to connect. I keep going out like year to year to see if I can feel an actual wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't feel a wedding. I feel like this year will come to a head for you. I feel like you're getting really tired of it, and there's a part of you that's kind of been hanging on to him way too long.
Mm-hmm.
I know you care about him, and I know you love him, and you got a lot of history, but at the same time, it just feels like both of you are afraid on some level, right? Yes, you want to marry him,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I feel like there's this fear of you actually speaking up about that. Have you confronted him? You guys get into arguments about it.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, and so to me, it feels like when you push, like he already knows that he's on some level disappointing you. Mm-hmm. But I feel like there's a part of you that enables him. You let him get away with it, right? You accept the stuff that he says, but I mean, and then you just argue with him. But I don't feel like you've ever expressed to him how you truly feel. Like you feel disappointed, you feel sad, you feel hurt, you feel rejected on some level by him.
Yes.
How would you feel? Because I see a couple of different, based on your choices, I see a couple of different scenarios that will play out for this.
Okay.
If you chose to basically give him, not an ultimatum, but basically state to him, if we don't set a date, then I am no longer going to be happy in this relationship. And I don't feel like you are either. Like, how long have you been living apart? A long time.
Yes.
Yeah, it feels like a long time. Like, has it been your whole entire relationship?
Yes. Well, I was 14 and he was 13 when we met. I can understand then.
Right, yeah, of course. But after you're adults, that changes things. Mm-hmm. Man, this just connects with the part where I felt like you hold on to things way too long and you have so much faith and hope in him, but at the same time, you're really pissed and annoyed and angry. But you've got to make a choice. You either choose to, I feel like you have to either accept things the way they are and not push for the actual wedding and be okay with being engaged and being okay with living apart, or you speak up and you tell him exactly what it is that you want and what your expectations are. And if he doesn't think that he can meet your needs, then you choose to go your separate ways. And I know that is extremely difficult for you. Just the thought of it makes you cringe. Mm-hmm. But you're not happy. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't end up alone. Mm-hmm. Just so you know, you wouldn't end up alone. Now, the town that you're in, feels like where you're living, like in the country area. To me, it feels like a smaller town, not super small, but kind of like a lot of people know each other, right? Is that the kind of how your town is?
Yes, and actually the neighborhood I live in too is like that.
Okay, yeah. So it's like a really close knit. Everybody kind of knows everybody. I do feel like within your community where you're living, there is another gentleman that would be interested in pursuing a relationship with you. I do feel like it's somebody that you actually know, maybe even just kind of like in passing, or it's like a guy that you know of, but haven't maybe had a real, I don't know, real interaction with. Mm-hmm. So if you chose to go your separate way, you have that possibility. If you choose to stay with him, to me it feels like it will be more of the same. And with his dad, if he's not taking a caretaker role, what was his dad's name again? I just want to connect with him really quick.
It's Ken, and the last name is Dottie.
Yeah, and to me, I feel like there's still years to come. So it doesn't feel like it's something that would be short term. So potentially, I feel like before he would ever even, to me, I feel like he doesn't want to live in the small town, that town where you're at. I feel like he doesn't really like it. he likes, he has more.
Neither of us like living here because of the weather we get here in Michigan.
Yeah, one of you is going to have to concede, and obviously there's no offer for you to move closer into town with him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, to me, I'm sorry. I just feel like the wedding is, I just don't even feel it at all. I'm so sorry. Now, if he makes a choice and changes it, then it could potentially happen. But right now, he's not even in that frame of mind.
Mm-hmm.
But really think about, you've been in this relationship a long time. It's stuck. It's going nowhere. You got to get unstuck. Get out there. Mingle. Mm-hmm. Tell him what you need and what you want. I do have to run. I apologize.